In elemental creatures, players will engage in a battle of wits, taking turns playing out creatures in an attempt to control the most power on the board at the end of the round and gain points. Creatures have a variety of effects, such as moving other creatures between the front line and the sideline, bestowing positive or negative power counters, turning off enemy effects, and much more. Players will also level up their previously played creatures, which adds the lesser creature back to the hand to be played again. Each level of creature increases their strength, even more so if you match the old form and the new form's species. You'll have to upgrade them quickly though, because at the end of a round, creatures in the front line move to the sideline, and creatures in the sideline are sent to the discard pile. Before they move though, the player with the most power on their front line gains points equal to the difference in power between the two players. The first player to reach 20 points is the winner. Thanks to Elemental Creatures for sponsoring this video. Now let's dive into this how to play. In Elemental Creatures, there is one type of card. Hold on, that can't be right. Oh, it is. Well, I guess that makes my job easier. This one card type is the creature. And they're elemental. That's the title. Playing creatures will increase your power by the amount indicated in the lower left corner. You will need the most power to win rounds of the game, so it's pretty important. In the upper left is a creature's level. You can play level 1 creatures to the front line just fine, but you'll have to level up if you want to get out those level 2s and 3s. At the top center of a card, you have its name, and below that is its species, which is used to determine if you are evolving or mutating when leveling up. We'll get back to that in a second. In the top right, we have a creature's element, which is referenced by some card effects. In the bottom right is the set symbol, and then of course we have the card effect in the text box. Now that we know the type of card we'll be playing, let's set up a game. And to do that in Elemental Creatures, you'll need a deck of at least 40 creatures where you can have up to 3 copies of any given creature. Once everyone has their deck, both players roll 2 dice and the person that rolls the highest goes first. It's right there in the rules. Two dice high roll, that's it? How am I supposed to do my increasingly silly ways to go first bit? Oh well, don't forget to make sure those decks are good and shuffled. Once you've determined who goes first by a frankly pedestrian method, both players draw 7 cards. After that, players go back and forth taking turns where you play a card until both players decide that they're done for the round. To play a card, it's easy peasy, just slap it on the front line. What's that? Well, the board is split into 2 rows, the front line and the sideline. The front line is where new things are played, and the sideline is where stuff that you played in the last round would be. If you want to play a level 1 creature, you just throw it out there, kaboom, kapow, third angle. If you want to play a level 2 or 3 creature though, you're gonna have to level it up. To do that, you'll need a creature of the previous level in the sideline. So to play a level 2, you'll need a level 1 in the sideline, and to play a level 3, you'll need a level 2 in the sideline. Simply add the sideline card back to your hand and play the new creature to the front line. This is where the creature's species is important. If the card you return to your hand is the same species as the newly played creature, you have evolved. When you evolve, add the total power of the returned card to the new card in the form of +1 power counters. If the species of the new card and the old card don't match, that means you have mutated, and you don't get any power counters. But you still got to level up, and that's pretty good. Players will go back and forth playing new creatures and leveling up old ones. Be sure to note any creature's effect. Some effects are play effects that activate when you play the creature. Yeah, baby, give me that draw. Other effects are triggered effects that activate when something specific happens, like playing a level 1 creature. If a triggered effect would reference the next of something, then that effect can only activate 1 time. Finally, there are ongoing effects. They don't need activating, they're just always on, even in the sideline. If you choose not to play anything when it's your turn, you have passed for the round, and you won't get to play any more cards until the next round. The other player can continue to play cards until they also pass. Once both players have passed, each one needs to add up their power total of creatures in their front line. The player with the higher power is the winner of the round, and they gain the difference between the 2 players' power as points. After that, All creatures in the front line are rested, which means they get moved to the sideline, and all creatures that were in the sideline are descended, which means they go to the discard pile. Then a new round begins. Both players draw one card from their deck. They don't do that on the first round, because they just drew 7 cards. And the player that won the previous round gets to take the first turn in this new round. If there was a tie, the player that went first last round goes first again this round. Rounds continue until someone has 20 points and they win the game. And that's pretty much it. However, there are some notable things. Some effects in the game give creatures -1 power counters. They do what you think, they subtract power. If a creature has any +1 power counters when they receive -1 power counters, instead of having 2 counters and becoming extremely confusing, first remove +1 power counters before applying any -1 power counters, and vice versa. For example, if a creature has a singular +1 power counter on it, and it gets hit with 3 -1 power counters, first, the +1 counter is removed, and then 2 -1 power counters are applied. They kinda cancel each other out. When a creature is rested or moved to the sideline at the end of a round, they lose all -1 power counters. They basically heal. But if they're moved to the sideline during a round, well, they're very sad and have to keep holding all those -1 counters. Similarly, if a creature levels up, the new creature also has to keep any -1 counters the returned creature had. Alright, that's enough about power counters. The game is easily expandable to up to 4 players. Points are earned by taking the difference of the top 2 players' points. And finally, Elemental Creatures is also playable with a singular booster pack per player. Just shuffle the pack up and that's your deck. In a sealed battle, players play until either one player hits 20 points, or the player with the most points after 4 rounds have passed wins the game. I do love me a pack battler. With that, you should know the basics of how to play Elemental Creatures. The game will be releasing soon. Check out the Discord and other socials in the description for updates. I'm 2 Lanes the Card Game Crypt Man, and I'm out.